You're watching the Bearcat Network. Today's Wednesday, October 22nd, and this is Cat Chat. I'm Chris Sabato with my co-host Kip Ioane, bringing you news and events and all an inside look at Bearcat Athletics. Let's jump into the roundup and see what happened this week in Bearcat sports. To start things off, women's soccer, busy week. Unfortunately, not a very successful one for them. On Wednesday, they traveled to Lewis and Clark and lost 1-0. Then came back on Friday. Saturday rather, at Linfield, and 4-0 loss there, and then a 1-0 loss to George Fox on Sunday.
On the volleyball side of things, Coach Tom Shoji and the volleyball program were at Linfield earlier in the week last week, got a sweep, 3-0 on the road. Unfortunately, dropped their last game of the weekend to Lewis and Clark in three straight sets. But we'll dive into them a little deeper and talk about where they're at and what they have left remaining on the season.
For men's soccer, George Fox was a 2-0 win at George Fox, and then at Pacific on Sunday was a 1-0 win. Pretty successful weekend for the men's soccer. Kevin Martin was named Northwest Conference Athlete of the Week.
In football, Coach Glenn Fowles and the team rebounded nicely from a setback up in Spokane against Whitworth to beat Lewis and Clark here in Salem, 45-7. Also on that, Jack Nelson, linebacker for the Bearcats, named NWC Athlete of the Week on the defensive side of the ball.
In cross country, both men and women's teams traveled to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the AE Invitational. On the men's side, they were 20th out of 45. Ioane Castillo was 56 in 25-29. The men are currently third in the region.
Right.
On the women's side, they were 8th out of 42.
Wow.
Taylor Ostrander was 17th in 21-42. They're currently 9th in the nation. They were 8th at AE, and everyone above them was ranked higher than them in either D3 or D2.
Kind of a little prep for the nationals, hopefully later on.
Yeah, it's a pretty good look. And then both Taylor Ostrander and Ioane Castillo were NWC athletes of the week.
That's a lot of those around in the fall sports this year.
Yeah, for 4 of them I think we had 3 last week,
That's
4
great.
this week. So we're doing good.
All right, in our Digging Deeper section, we like to dive into a couple programs and some topics around the athletic department to give you a more in-depth look and coverage of what's happening. We're going to talk about the volleyball team right now. They're 10-9 overall, 5-5 in the NWC, 5th place currently, but they're really only 2 games out of third. UPS sits in third at 7-3. So as they go down these last 6 games of the season, Coach Shoji and the ladies are right there in position to make a run. And as Chris, you mentioned earlier, they've historically the last 2-3 years been very solid down the stretch.
Yeah, and we're hoping that remains the case. In 2012, they were even 3-3, but last year in 2013 they were 5-1 in their last 6 games.
Absolutely.
So if we could go 5-1 in these last 6 games, I think we would
top
be
top 3 finishes in the cards for sure.
Yeah.
Statistically for the volleyball team right now, Sarah Fincher, who we've had on the show before, is 2nd in the NWC currently in kills per set with 3.34 per set, and 4th overall in total kills, 217 total times slamming the ball down like we all like to see her do. Also statistically, Taylor G, right?
Mm-hmm.
3rd in the NWC in blocks per set at 1.14. So we know she's doing work at the net for the women. Their games they have remaining are all 3 teams they've lost to previously: Puget Sound, Whitworth, PLU, and 3 teams they've beaten previously: Fox, Whitman, Pacific. So a chance for some revenge and hopefully some sweeps to finish out the season and on the high. I know 10-9, 5-5. They're happy with where they're at, but obviously not satisfied and would like to end on a roll like they've done previously.
Right, and they're set up pretty well with the games they have remaining to maybe come on top. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's 3 teams that they've beat. There's 3 teams that they lost to, and 2 of them are beatable, and the third one is too.
And I think they have 1 home game left, correct? Senior night?
One game left on the 7th versus Pacific Lutheran, which is the one game that I think will be the hardest game of the 6 they have remaining.
So it'd be great to see everybody out for senior night and send the upperclassmen for the volleyball team out on a high note.
Absolutely. So the next topic we're going to talk a little bit about is live streaming, and we've had some questions, some compliments, some complaints about what we do as far as live streaming events, and I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit about how we do things and a little maybe behind the scenes look at the live streaming stuff that we have. First of all, live streaming is expensive. It's not a cheap
Yeah.
thing to do. We have a partner, and if any of you have watched the games online, it's you go to our Stretch Internet portal, and that is the company that we partner with that provides the streaming access. So we upload our stream to them, and then that's what you guys all go to watch the stream. And we're fortunate enough that everyone in our conference is a partner with Stretch as well. So that's why when you go to our portal and we're away, you still get to see those games.
Gotcha.
If for example we go to PLU this weekend, if they're streaming their football game, you'll see
You
that
can pick it up through ours.
through our portal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a nice feature. We have in football, we're very fortunate in that we have CCTV come and film our games, and not many D3 schools, I think, are fortunate enough to have something like that. They pull up with $1 million HD TV
The truck.
truck.
Looks like the big ones you see at Autzen or
yeah,
Racer or
and that's
places.
exactly
Yeah.
what it is. Maybe they have a couple more of them down at
Yes,
Autzen,
true, true.
but it's so we get technology-wise on that end. We're very fortunate, and the guys from CCTV don't get paid. It's all volunteer. So they show up with a crew of 6 to 7 people every Saturday home game, and none of them are getting paid. And we're so fortunate that CCTV can help us with that. But we've had some technical difficulties. As many of you may know, that you tried to watch the football game this weekend, that it didn't stream, and that was because Stretch had some servers crash, and
There's not much you can do.
there's nothing we can do, and I know they were working hard to try and get it up in time to see at least some of the game, and it was probably about an hour after the game ended when they finally fixed all their problems, and that's unfortunate for us. It's unfortunate for you, the fans, but it is what it is, and
it's show business, right?
It is,
Yeah.
it is, and we are trying to bring you the best that we possibly can, and we're never going to be Sports Center, even though we'll play it on.
This set is getting there.
We'll pretend that we are, but we're not ESPN, and we can't provide that level of coverage, but we do the things that we can, and we try to bring different angles, and if you watch some of the volleyball streaming, we're doing that with a $99 little webcam, and because it gets us close enough within our budget, and we can afford that kind of thing. And so to just kind of put it out there, we're doing the best we can, and we're trying to bring you everything that you want to see, and sometimes it doesn't work. And when you operate on a limited budget in a field that is very expensive, you think about how much you're paying for your cable.
Right. I saw that bill yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the outlet for folks that are out there? Hey, I'm experiencing this difficulty with my stream, or I have this concern, or I have this compliment. Where do they go for that?
If you have complaints, you sent them to. Now, if you're having trouble accessing the stream, most of that you can contact Stretch directly. And there's a little help button on the side, and they can walk you through if you have any issues, and that may be something you're doing wrong. It may be something we're doing wrong, and we don't know it. So basically, what happens if Stretch hears from someone and there's a complaint and something's not right and we're doing something wrong, they'll actually call us and say, hey, the audio's not working or the video's down, and so we'll hear that from Stretch. Yeah, if you have compliments, if you've got suggestions, you can go ahead and send those in to sports-info@willamette.edu. And we can't please everyone, but we can't please anyone. Can't please anyone. No, we can't please everyone, but we're going to try our best to make our fans at home, and especially those parents who can't make it up here. We want you to be able to see the games and know that we're trying our best to make all this happen, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And unfortunately, we just can't help that. So that's just kind of a little look inside of kind of how streaming works here. And like I said, if you have questions or comments, let us know. And so that's that. We're here with Yazan Hishmeh, the men's soccer team. Has had a pretty successful season so far, kind of dominating the scoring stats for our team. And we're going to talk a little bit with him about some soccer stuff, some school stuff, and just kind of get to know Yaz a little bit better. So let's start off with how you came to Willamette. What got you interested in?
All right, so it's a little funny story. So my older brother's good friend growing up in high school is Lloyd, our head coach's nephew, and he also comes to the school or goes to the school. So that was my connection in, and from there, I liked the campus when I came and visited, and yeah, it was a good choice
And
for
the rest
me.
is history. My third uncle's cousins, brothers. I like it though.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know how you're going to
Seriously.
get to.
Absolutely.
Talk about a little bit your success on the. What would you attribute, the success you've experienced? We'll get into the team obviously later, but what's been the key to your jump this year? Has it been the off-season workouts? Is it conditioning? Is it comfortability in the system? What would you say the key factors are?
I think the main one for me is just maturity because I'm an upperclassman as a junior, and I had to step up, and I knew I had to step up this off season. So it's a lot more train and focus that I've put in, even just training out here during season with the coaches and with my teammates. It's a lot more focus driven for me than I was my previous years.
Gosh, that's just coming with age.
Yeah, coming with age, coming with experience.
Absolutely.
Was that a gradual thing, or did you make a decision? Did you say I'm an upperclassman now, I need to take this next step?
It wasn't so much I thought of it. It was a lot of what my coaches were telling me I had to do in order for us to be successful as a team. And there is a lot of pressure getting put on my back, but I think I can weather it pretty well.
So far, you've been doing all right.
I think you could say that. Talk a little bit about the coaching staff. For the people out there watching that, they probably see and notice and hear Coach Phobie. He's easy, but talk about the rest of the staff. Who are they? What do they do? What have they done for you?
So we got a new coach, Chris. He came from Europe, actually. He played club and professionally down there, and his wife is the volleyball coach at OSU.
Oh, wow.
So that's how he came
busy.
around here. Yeah, seriously. So he's definitely been a good help. He's mentored not only me, but all of us pretty well. And with him, including Lloyd, and we got Siegfried, which is our other assistant coach. And it's hard to understand the difference because we have Lloyd as our head coach from Cameroon. We got Sig from Austria. We got Chris from Europe, and it's tough to understand the different dialects and what they're all telling us to do. But once you get past the different language barriers, they have a lot of useful information, and it's been very helpful this year.
Absolutely, a global staff.
They're smart people though.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
So what's the one thing? What Coach Phobie's got to have something that he says all the time.
His little catchphrase.
If we're walking by a game or we're walking by practice, what are we going to hear? I know he's yelling. He's loud. Well, what are we going to hear him say?
He's going to be yelling, "It's not rocket science."
Okay. I like it. Talk a little bit about the team. You guys are 10-4-1, right there on, battling for the title in the league. What's allowed you guys you talked about your maturity. What's been the difference for the group doing something a men's soccer team here hasn't done in a long time and being on the cusp of NWC title?
We've realized that it's more than, we're out there playing for each other, and we don't, our coaches help us, but when we're out there playing, we know that we're fighting for each other. And we know that, well, he says this all the time, but we're our brother's keeper, but we actually are. Like, we will give everything we have just for the guy to our left and right, because we understand, like, what we need to do in order to win our conference, and we all want it so bad.
Has that been easier, or you guys have done that better this year because of stuff off the field, or is it just like you said, maturing together? Is a lot of underclassmen turning into upperclassmen? What's the dynamic of the team that allows that to be true?
I think our captains have really narrowed our focus down pretty well. They know what we need to do, and they know that, there's always going to be like problems, troubles, drama off the field, but it's just how you handle, I guess, the situations we're put in, and I
Mhm.
think we've handled them pretty well.
So let's talk a little bit about where you are in the conference. For one day, you were at the top,
Yeah.
and then some
One afternoon, yeah.
yeah, and nothing that you did, and you
Yeah.
went back to second. So is where you are in the conference a focus, or are you just going out focusing on this game and what happens happens?
Um, well, it's easy to say that we only focus game by game, but we obviously see that we're tied for first. And this weekend we play UPS, which is a team we're tied with. So, yeah, we're focusing game by game and how to beat UPS and how to beat PLU, but we have that in the back of the mind as much as we don't want it.
Mhm. That's human nature, I think, a
Yeah.
little bit. So during this week, because you guys go PLU first, right,
Yeah.
and then UPS, is the focus in practice? Are they showing you PLU stuff? Are you getting a little bit of PLU, a little bit of UPS? What's the actual X's and O's preparation look like for this week?
The prep, in our video sessions, we're obviously going to be looking at when UPS and PLU play each other and when
Okay.
we played PLU.
Okay.
But the focus is going to be towards UPS a little more just because they're up there and that's an important game,
Mhm.
even though every game is important because we can't really lose from here on out.
Mhm.
But I think our focus for now is PLU, but not as much as the grand scheme.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So how do you make sure that you're not looking past PLU?
See, we've learned from a lot of mistakes not to look past what we think is an easy game, because we've lost a lot of easy games, and that's kind of what killed us last year. And I don't know. I think this weeks of practice is going to be good preparation to see how focused we are and how much we want it, because this is kind of the vital weekend, and then we go play Whitworth, who's in third next weekend after this. So we can't really overlook any team, and we know that.
Good. Well, let's switch topics a little bit here, and let's talk a little bit about academics. What's your major?
Economics.
Economics. And did you know that coming in, or?
No, my mom would be pissed at my decision of economics. But coming in, I was thinking chemistry or biology major, go to med school and all that. But yeah, I quickly changed my mind.
What's been your favorite class that you've taken so far?
My favorite class I've taken. That's a good question.
It doesn't have to be in the econ major. It can be outside.
Yeah. I'd say the one that I'm taking a politics class right now, which is international politics, which I think is very interesting.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it talks about global issues that we're facing and have faced in the past.
Probably daily updates on
Yeah.
that too. so
Yeah.
changing.
No, it's an interesting class as long as you do all the readings.
As an athlete, let's say there's a potential future Bearcat soccer player watching. What's the toughest part of time management here? Is it? I mean, or how about this? How do you deal with that aspect? What's your trick to get through? Hey, I got soccer. I got this study hall. I got this. How do you balance your day?
It's a lot. I mean, a lot of it has to do with how you plan your schedule and knowing, like during soccer season, your life is kind of consumed by soccer. You got soccer every day, at least 3 hours a day.
Mhm.
So it's hard knowing that when you get home you have so much homework, but you can't just sit around and be lazy, and you have to be proactive, and it's tough. It's very hard after a game, Saturday, Sunday game, coming home like, oh, I got like 4 or 5 hours of homework.
Right.
But it's kind of just knowing that school does come before soccer, and if I need it, I could go up to my coach and say, hey, like, I need to focus on school. I'm kind of behind a little bit, and he'll be completely understanding.
Mhm.
Do you take homework with you on the road?
I take it with me every time, but it's doing it on that bus is what the hard part is.
Yeah, I think I was about year when I realized that I've taken homework every trip and,
Every trip.
and haven't done it. So I just stopped taking it.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is.
Especially when they turn the lights off and you're just watching a movie. You're like, oh, I can't do my homework right now.
Who gets to pick the movies on the bus? Lloyd, you guys?
No, Lloyd has no input. We yeah.
I like it.
Well, good. Well, thanks, Yaz, for joining us, and wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.
And we want to see a Northwest Conference
Absolutely.
trophy coming
Oh
back
yeah,
here.
you'll see it. Don't worry.
Get the sweep in Tacoma.
It's gonna be big this week.
Looking ahead to the week that is here with Bearcat Athletics, a lot of Bearcats either in Tacoma or taking on schools from Tacoma this week. Volleyball will start off with in Tacoma for Puget Sound Friday 7 p.m. Return to Oregon Saturday night to play in Newburgh versus George Fox. Coach Hillary Arthur and the women take on the Loggers of UPS here in Salem 12 p.m. The men's team in a big weekend for them, chasing that Northwest Conference championship. They're at PLU Saturday, and then another big one versus the team they're tied with for the NWC lead, the Loggers of Puget Sound, up there in Tacoma Sunday at 2:30. Football team, they kind of start their gauntlet, so to speak, to end the season. They're at PLU. You know, the Lutes are always a perennial top 25, top 2 or 3 team in our league. Surprisingly, have 2 NWC losses, having fallen to Linfield and Pacific. So this is kind of a de facto elimination game for them. So our guys have 1 conference loss going in. They'll be at PLU at 1:30. Men's and women's golf team, the NWC Fall Classic is this Saturday and Sunday in Newburgh at Chehalem Glen Golf Club. Look for a good performance out of both sides, the men's and the women's. And then cross country gets a break after all this traveling.
They're off this week and come back next weekend for the Northwest Conference Championship, which is here in Bush Park.
That's right. Home course advantage.
Home course advantage.
Excellent.
From now until the Nationals.
That's awesome. That's
so
a great
here
setup.
and 2 weeks after the conference championships is the regional championships also.
That's great.
In Bush Park.
A lot of chances to catch the runners out there. Hopefully it's not too bad rain like it is today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to wrap up here. Just remind you to check out all our social media outlets. If you go to bit.ly/WUSocial, it'll give you a list of all the social media accounts from all the teams, swimming and men's basketball, women's basketball, all those teams that have social media accounts. There's links to all of them right there. If you want to watch some more live stream like we talked about earlier today, bit.ly/Bearcat Network, and find all the events that we're live streaming.
Absolutely. Go Bearcats. Another great week.
Yep, we'll see you again next week.